Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to my ecology class. I'm Dr. Arpita and the topic for today's discussion is metapopulation. So, metapopulation consists of a group of spatially separated populations of the same species which interact at some level. Okay, so what does this mean? In very simple word, it means a metapopulation is a population of populations. So look at this picture. You can see here, these are all one individual populations, small populations, but they are all interconnected. This entire population of populations is known as metapopulation. And see here it's written linked by occasional dispersal. They are all interconnected. They are all linked. Thus, it is a population of populations distributed in discrete habitat patches. Okay. So, see here, a metapopulation approach tracks the occupancy of habitat patches through time rather than track individual organisms through time. So, what is it actually tracking? It tracks the occupancy of habitat patches through time instead of tracking individual organisms through time. It consists of a group of spatially separated populations of the same species which interact at some level. The term metapopulation was coined by Richard Levins in 1969. Please remember his name and of course the date as well. To describe a model of population dynamics of insect pests in agricultural fields, but the idea has been most broadly applied to species in naturally or artificially fragmented areas or fragmented habitats. Now see here. A balance between colonization and extinction is what is seen in metapopulation. So see here, look at this beautiful colored patchy picture here. It shows us the metapopulation dynamics. Some patches may be usually good and others may be usually bad, and others sometimes good and sometimes bad. So four conditions are given. Some are usually good, some are usually bad, while some others are sometimes good and sometimes bad. So for different colors you can see here, this stands for your usually good. Then this red is for usually bad. This lighter shade of green is sometimes good. And this is sometimes bad. You can see a connection between all of these. You see here source subpopulations. The source in this dark green patch, what you see here, B is B greater than D produce lots of dispersing individuals, and here in this red patch you see, which is the sink or sink subpopulation, here you see D greater than B produce few or no dispersing individuals. the source and sink concept comes here. See here. Source and sink population is hypothetical metapopulation. Source and sink population is hypothetical metapopulation. Correct? The local population in the habitat patches shown here are collectively making up the metapopulation. Source habitats provide individuals that emigrate and colonize sink habitats. So the word source gives us an idea that it produces or it provides individuals that can go elsewhere and colonize a particular place which can be called as sink, where it gets collected. Metapopulation exists as shifting pattern of occupied and vacant habitat patches. See, it operates at two separate spatial scales. One is local, the other is regional. See, individuals can move within the patch. In local counterpart, we can see the individuals can move within the patch. Population changes and regulation is done by demographic processes like birth and death. That means what? Natality and mortality. In regional, what is happening? Interaction occurs between patches, happens via dispersion and colonization. All local populations have a probability of extinction. It's always true. All local population is always prone to extinction. They always have a probability to become extinct. Long-term persistence of metapopulation depends on the process of recolonization. See, until and unless there is a chance of recolonization, then how will life continue after extinction? Now coming to certain conditions. Suitable habitat only found in discrete patches. All subpopulation have a risk of extinction. Patches close enough to be recolonized and local population growth dynamics not synchronized. See, now we'll talk about 4 necessary conditions for a system of local populations to be considered as metapopulation. Number 1, suitable habitat patches. Number 2, local population extinctions. Number 3, recolonization. And number 4, dispersal between habitat patches. So in simpler words, it is that the habitat patch should be suitable enough for colonization. Local population extinctions must be there, and this extinction should definitely be accompanied with recolonization, and there should be dispersal between the habitat patches. That means what? These are the various habitat patches. There should be dispersion. That means some kind of interactions should be there. Now coming to types of spatially dynamic population. We'll talk about 2 very important models here, the classical model and the mainland model. Coming to classical model, a large network of population with similar dynamics, higher level of interaction between the individuals within a patch than between the patch. See, within a patch than between patch. So higher level of interaction should be there between the individuals within a patch than between the patches. Equal probabilities of extinction and recolonization. All patches are relatively small. So classical model gives us an idea or a concept where we see a large population, large network of population with similar dynamics operate here, where higher level of interactions are there between the individuals within a patch rather than between the individual patches, and there is equal probability of extinction as well as recolonization, and all the patches are relatively small. Then coming to mainland model, a large population with smaller satellite population, or you can call them islands as well, found from the big one. The big one is considered as the mainland, and the fragments here or the satellite populations are the islands. Large population is considered as source and small population as sink. Why large one is considered as source? It's because the large one, as I told you here, the large one has the potency to produce more individuals, to provide more individuals that can emigrate and go to elsewhere and settle over there. That place where it is settling or colonizing is known as the sink. Assume that mainland population does not go extinct. Here an assumption is taken that the mainland population is not getting extinct. Helps to understand the dynamics of rescue effect. This is important. This is the new term that is coming in. It is helping to understand the dynamics of rescue effect. Now, what is that? What is this rescue effect? Reduction in the extinction rate as population on an island is recolonized from the source. I'm again telling reduction in the extinction rate, as the population on an island is recolonized from the source. So as the island is getting recolonized from the source, the reduction, the extinction is reducing. The rate of extinction is reducing. Okay. So for a given species, each metapopulation is continuously being modified by increases, that is births and emigration that causes increase in population. You have learned about this already. And decrease means deaths and emigrations of individuals, as well as by the emergence and dissolution of local populations contained within it. As local populations of a given species fluctuate in size, they become vulnerable to extinction during periods when their numbers are low. Now see, extinction of local populations is common in some species, and the regional persistence of such species is dependent on the existence of metapopulation. Hence, elimination of much of the metapopulation structure of some species can increase the chance of regional extinction of species. Very important. So what is happening? Elimination of much of the metapopulation structure of some species can result in an increase in the chance of regional extinction of species. So this can result in the increase of regional extinction of species. All right. See, the term classical metapopulation model refers to where we don't keep track of abundance. So N is no longer, N or capital N is no longer our primary unit of interest here. Instead, what we are doing, we only consider patch occupancy, the number of fraction of patches in the metapopulation that are occupied. That is being considered, and not the abundance or capital N, which we were considering till now. Now see this. Study this picture for a minute. Try to match these with the color codes. Solid green means occupied patch. White ones are empty patches, and the arrow marks dispersal. Clear? In y-axis, we have variance in patch size, and in the x-axis, we have connectivity. That is dispersion distance relative to interpatch distance. Fine. Now coming to the first one, island mainland. What is happening here? This is this concept gives us a taste of isolated land. It gives us a sense of isolated land. Okay. See here. This is the mainland, the bigger patch. This one is the mainland, and these are the occupied patches. This patch is yet empty, and these arrows are showing dispersion. The organisms are being provided by the mainland, which are going to these islands and settling there. Coming to the next one, non-equilibrium. Here you can see there is no dispersion, there is no connection. How will equilibrium be established? There is no connection whatsoever. There is no dispersal. No arrow means no dispersal here. You can see occupied patches. You can see unoccupied or empty patches, but there is no network that is being formed here. There is no connection. Coming to metapopulation, which is also our Levin's model. This is also our Levin's model. What did he say there in this? See, you can see a lot of arrows here, plenty of arrows here. See, these one-way arrows means what? Dispersal is only happening in one direction. One-way arrows, that is local ones. You can see these occupied patches are connected to empty patches as well as other occupied patches. But did you notice that there is no arrow from an empty patch to an occupied patch? Common sense, isn't it? If the patch is empty, how can organism come from here to here? Not possible. So this is our Levin's model of metapopulation. Correct. And here also another thing you see, the patches, when Levin had given us this model, he used to call this as occupied and unoccupied regions. Okay. And the sizes of the patches are usually of the same size. You will not see much variation between in size between this one and this one, or this one and this one. That means there is no heterogeneity. External. See, here they are all of the same size. Actually, in classical metapopulation theory, each population cycles in relative dependence of the other population, and they eventually go extinct as a consequence of demographic stochasticity. What is stochasticity? It is the fluctuation in population size due to random demographic event. Fine. Now coming to the patchy panmictic type. In patchy panmictic type, what you can see, what is missing here? Empty patch. Empty patches nowhere present and all are interconnected. So what is important here? No empty. There is no empty patch here. And last one, coming to dissected landscape. In dissected landscape, you can see though they are interconnected, but there is a dissection, there is a division. Okay, so these are the various concepts with which we should be familiar with. Now, in this, what did I say just now? If I just read it out, it will be easier for you to know. in classical metapopulation theory, each population cycles in relative independence of the other population and eventually goes extinct as a consequence of demographic stochasticity. What is this? This is actually fluctuation in population size due to random demographic event. Due to demographic event. So coming to this, dispersion enables the colonization of unoccupied site. Obviously, it goes without saying, if there is no dispersal, then how will the unoccupied or empty patch gets populated? And thereby increases the number of susceptible populations where the disease may establish. It is an ecological process that involves the movement of an individual or multiple individuals away from the population in which they were born to another location or population where they will settle and reproduce. In evolutionary computation, a deme often refers to any isolated subpopulation subjected to selection as a unit rather than as individual. So unit is the point of consideration here and not the individual. So this is how we come to the end of our lecture. I hope you have enjoyed. Thank you so much. Stay connected for our next lecture series. Till then, goodbye.